If you're looking for the best coverage for indie wrestling, listen to Aaron and Tom right here at the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show with myself, Aaron, and Tom. Hey, we lied to everyone. We said we would not be back with season 2 until the 1st of September. We're such liars, but when you have a chance to have the daughter of 1,000 Maniacs on the show, you go ahead and start season 2. It's Shawna Reed. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
It's hot.
Yes, it is.
It's hot everywhere.
A little bit. I mean, I'm in Ohio, so I mean, it has its moments.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're in the Kentucky-Indiana loop here. So Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. So it's that Midwest heat. It's that heat index that'll get you every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So how's things been going for you so far since COVID and everything's come back?
All right. Well, I'm a nurse in another life. So, it's definitely affecting things, and I don't like it.
I can't even imagine. I know what we go through in our shoot jobs, myself and Tom, which is in the retail format. But for someone that is a nurse or a doctor, I can't even fathom what you all go through on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's crazy, like just things change like before COVID, things changed like on a dime, like an instant. But now, and I'm not even joking, it changes so much every other second. Like it's crazy now, and it's almost like a new normal, which sucks, but
yeah, let's hope this new normal goes away pretty fast. But on the front side of that, thank you so much for all your contributions, as far as the health field goes right now, because like I said, I know it's very trying. So thank you for everything that you're doing on that aspect of it.
oh, thanks.
All right, on the pro wrestling side of it and the other life that you so-called live, things are going really well for you right now. Matches are starting to pick back up. You've even been on AEW television ever since the COVID outbreak goes. So when you look at the BOTB, which you're a champion of right now, and wrestling on AEW Dark against some of the top talent like Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, where do you assess where you're at right now in your career?
Well, I assess myself as like being like a little bit further along than what I was like about a year and a half ago. I mean, before I went to Dustin's school, I was very much at a standstill in my wrestling career because I will be celebrating 6 years September 14th, and I had gotten to that stalemate where I didn't really know what I was, who I was, what I really wanted to do. I've been doing the same thing for going on 4 or 5 years, and it's been working for me, but it wasn't what I just felt very much at that line, like I got to do something. I'm seeing my friends get opportunities. I'm seeing all this. There's something I got to do. And so when I went to Dustin's school and I got in front of him, and he really polished up my character and my wrestling style. So for him to do that, and for him to have the confidence in me to be the first person he put from his school on AEW, and to put him with like Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, which are the 2 top women in my honest opinion, other than like Selena Deeb. I'm like, it was a big honor to me to be able to do that and to kind of represent him. And so now that I've had that training and that exposure, like my wrestling career has definitely changed.
Yeah, to wrestle on the national stage, and let's be honest, in the year of 2021 so far, you couldn't go any hotter as far as two names as Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker right now.
Yeah.
So, talking about your time you spent with Dustin, what are some big takeaways that you learned while you were with him, and maybe something that surprised you?
Well, when I got picked to go to his school, I was the only person that he picked that had any wrestling experience because he was starting from the ground up. So there were people there that maybe had like a year, less than a year in, but I had I was in like going on 6 years. So he used me as his like test dummy a lot. So I kind of marked out a little bit for that. But I really went down there to really like start over, like clear everything in my head, restart, make everything crispy, make everything more assertive, and then kind of try and figure out who this character that I wanted to be was. And who better than to freaking go to and talk about a character and to make my character than Dustin Rhodes. So when I went down there and I told them what I wanted to do, what my kind of vision was, him and his wife like jumped on me like to make this character. And it's a character that I never would have made for myself. So I think my biggest takeaway from that would be A, my promo skills, and B, just being able to be a character and not care.
I think the character acting and a lot of the top talent on TVs these days, it's either not very in depth. It's very like one dimensional. So I think that's very good. And Dustin is one of the masters at whatever character he decides to play. He does very well. So that's exciting that he's bringing that into the younger talent so that we can get some of that going forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I first saw Dustin, of course, in the late 80s, early 90s, and then that's when he was the Natural. Then he transitions to Goldust, and then he totally, in my opinion, when him and Cody were tagging with Stardust and Goldust, I may get a lot of heat from this, but I thought Dustin was the better of the two, even then at that age. And then he goes to AEW, and he's again putting on really good matchups with younger talent. So for when you say I was 6 years in and I was a little lost, as far as that goes, that's okay. Because look at how many times Jericho's reinvented himself. Look how many times Dustin's reinvented himself. And to have that knowledge passed along to you, I think is a very, very good.
Yeah. That's decisions I have made to pretty much just, leave everything here in Ohio for a few months and go down there and just try. And I don't regret it one bit.
Now, your earlier days, you started training with Cody Hawk, and I listened to an interview earlier in the week where you stated after 2 months, he told you that he wanted you to have a match, and you weren't that confident in yourself. And he's told you, believe in me, believe in what I see in you. So tell me a little bit about that, because we've had guests on the show that are like, hey, after a week, they threw me in a match. And we have some guests that are like, it was almost a year before I get my first match. So was Cody right as far as that 2 month window? Were you ready?
Well, when I came back to training after I got injured my first round of training, and I took the few months out, and I restarted when the class restarted. And it was 2 months in. I wasn't expecting to have my first match, I'm gonna be honest with you, for at least a year and a half. Just thinking that was just normal for wrestlers. And I didn't, and that would be with his name on my shoulders, and he's such a amazing and world-renowned trainer. And I didn't want to, ever go out to a show and then be like, oh, that chick's trained by Cody Hawk and stuff. It's a huge thing, because it's not just my name, it's his too. And so when the 2 month window kind of rolled around, I remember I was legit sitting in my bed on Friday night, and just was chilling. And then all of a sudden I get a text message from him, and he's like, do you want to wrestle tomorrow? And I'm like, you mean on a show in front of people? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, no. Flat out told him no. And then he pulled that whole, if you don't trust yourself, trust me situation. And I was like, oh, crap. So legit went up to JCPenney's that night and grabbed some tights in Sports for All. But I was really lucky with the girl I was wrestling. Is Zoe Sky, or she has Angel Dust like back then. And so she was my first opponent ever. And I was so lucky and so blessed to have like her be my first opponent ever, especially me being so green. And then the show was actually, there was over 1,000 people at that show. And Road Warrior Animal was on that show too. And I was like, oh my God, just shoot me now. I'm going to die. And Cody ended up being my manager that night. So he was also ringside. So, but you know, when I got out there and I was heel, and when I got out there, it's like everything just clicked. I was more focused on being that heel character. I didn't give a crap with what I was doing. It all clicked. And so I think that having a match that early gave me a little bit of an edge on people, especially at training, because I got it. I understood what I had to do to get a crowd's reaction. And so it worked. It worked out good, and I'm glad I listened to him.
So do you typically work as a heel, or do you kind of do whatever needs to be done? Do you like one over the other?
I pretty much do whatever needs to be done. I'm a 5'10" tall girl. So there's a lot of people that are smaller than me. So 9 times out of 10, I'm a heel. But actually recently, within like the last like year and a half, 2 years, I've been a babyface. People have been putting me as a babyface. So I can do both. So I'm pretty much whatever the promoter needs.
The daughter of 1,000 maniacs. Where did that come from?
The longest time, I was the pretty little psycho. And then I heard that there was a girl out in California. She's been in the business at least 3 years longer than me, and she was getting apparently really like upset that I was using Pretty Little Psycho because she was doing Pretty Little Psycho. And I didn't know. I didn't even know who she was, didn't know anything. She had me blocked, and so my friends were like taking screenshots of like these posts she was making about me. And that was the last thing I wanted to do, was steal somebody, like have somebody think I'm stealing their stuff or anything like that. So immediately I talked to, Cody, I talked to Dustin, trying to figure out how we can change this. And I tried to, get in contact with her to, explain the situation that, I wasn't doing this intentionally. Thankfully, Cody, messaged, because she didn't have him blocked. He reached out to her. I had a few other people reach out to her. Me and her have never talked, but so when I was trying to think of a new name for this character, like a new moniker, I'm a big horror movie fan. And so Freddy Krueger is the son of 100 maniacs. That's his nickname. So I was like, I'm like, what if I'm like the daughter of 1,000 maniacs? And Dustin and his wife loved it. Cody loved it. So it's kind of just stuck right now.
Do you think about spreading like the horror type stuff into your character a lot? Do you like pull in for inspiration from different movies or things like that?
I do. I'll watch like different movies, and if I see like if someone says something that I like, I'm like, oh my God, I can use that in a promo. Or I'm starting now, because my character, she talks to herself. So I've been starting with promos to actually bring these voices in my head to life. And like in a few promos I've done and seen like what I see and stuff, or like these characters, and I'm pretending like to be other people, but only I see them. So one of the characters that I actually just came out, she's my darkest character that I have, and I've named her Tavia, and she just premiered on a show. So it's all bloody. I'm a big fan of like the show, I think it's the 1000 or something. But like Octavia from there, like Blood Reina and all that. So that's where I based her off of, but it ended up coming out also looking like the tax, blood, hair wet, all black, and I was like crawling and being a freaking creep. And so definitely look for inspiration on like any horror movie, any just creepy thing I see. So
Yeah, me and Tom both have watched the 100. I haven't totally finished the last season yet, but I've always liked Octavia's character. I thought her character had a real good arc, as far as where I was at. It kind of lost me there towards the end, so I stopped watching it, but Tom told me they ended it really well.
Yeah, you got to finish it.
they did. It's good.
Now, in your opinion, what is the best horror movie that you've seen?
Oh gosh. So I'm really into like I'm like not really into like these crazy like, hey, there's this murderer that's gonna like kill everybody in the house. I'm not into those. Like I'll watch them, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, that's the one I want to see, you know. I'm really into like the paranormal and stuff like that, and that stuff can really freaking happen. And so it makes me feel different things. So I like things like The Conjuring. I like things like Insidious. I like things, there's always your freaking classics. Like Shining is still one of the best horror movies to me that there's going to be. And I'm not ashamed of that. They had that movie that was just creepy come out a few years ago. They just made a sequel of it, but it's of like the blind guy. Like, yeah. Yeah, and that was just a freaking creepy movie anyway. So it's like, what the hell? Like, but then yeah, I'm just really into like I think the paranormal ones, because they mess with like your head a little bit more than, oh hey, there's just some murderer that's gonna come kill me in a like gory way.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of The Conjuring or The Nun or any of that stuff, but I'm kind of the opposite right now. I like a lot of the slasher stuff. I like, like A Quiet Place. I really liked both of those. So you're telling me I need to watch The Conjuring?
Oh yeah, I'm actually, fun fact, me and a bunch of friends next September just rented out the real Conjuring house, and we're staying overnight in the Conjuring house. I am stoked.
I just can't get into it. Thankfully, I've never had any experience with any kind of spirit or anything. So I have a hard time getting into those type of movies. I believe I've seen the first Conjuring movie, but I was just like, it's fine. But I totally understand that there are people that have had these things happen, that they 100% believe it. And I do not shame them, because, I'm also the same guy that believes that Bigfoot is real. So I can't fault anybody for that. I just, myself, when I watch them, I don't get as much out of them as somebody that maybe had an experience would.
Yeah, no, I've done a bunch of like those overnight paranormal investigations because I'm a nerd. That's what I do. And like I've stayed at Bobby Mackey's. Me and my friend Heather Owens went to a abandoned hospital down in Tennessee and rented out the whole place. So we had the whole thing to ourselves. And yeah, it's freaking, when you get these experiences, it's freaking amazing. Like, I mean, I've had a lot of experiences, so that stuff just geeks me out.
Well, you're going to have to record whenever y'all are staying at this house and try to make like a little movie out of it or something, because I feel like that's going to be very interesting.
Oh yeah, I am. And the fact that like, so we're staying there on like a Friday night, and then Salem, Massachusetts is like less than like a few hour drive. So me and a few of my friends are, after we stay there, are driving to Salem and doing the whole Salem witch stuff. So
I don't know what to say about all that. I believe in a lot of that stuff, so I don't know if I would go and tempt the fate like that. And the truth is, Tom hasn't watched The Conjuring because it probably scares him. That's probably the real reason.
I've seen the first one.
Yeah. I'm going to have to watch it now. That's it. I mean, there's nothing else I need to be doing besides watching The Conjuring, I'm sure. So, pro wrestling this past week was pretty damn good. Let's be honest. All around the board from WWE to AEW, the return of CM Punk, the return of Becky Lynch, Brock Lesnar. Being a pro wrestler right now, what is that like?
It's freaking emotional, man. Like, cause there's been those times where like everybody's like, just in the past few months, especially with all like the releases and everybody, people are like, wrestling, like, what are they doing? They're ruining wrestling. Like these people that are amazing, you're ruining them, kind of thing. So, but I was like a huge CM Punk mark when I was a kid, and then an even bigger AJ Lee mark, and I still am. But seeing him return, like him and Edge, like those are my two. Like, I freaking like cried my eyes out when I watched it, because you just see their emotions in their faces. Like, sure, Punk's was I chose to stop wrestling. But Edge was, I was forced to stop wrestling and told I could never do it again. And so, but to see like that them both come back, sure, Edge was a wild pass, but like Punk, like you just saw it in his eyes that he never stopped loving wrestling. That he knew this is where he belonged, but he had to do it at that time for himself, for his family. I like, and the fact that he is back, I think it's just going to make wrestling so much better. And selfishly, I'm really hoping that means AJ coming back at some point, because she's like my dream match. And I'm hoping one day it'll get to happen. That's just me being selfish, though.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big CM Punk fan. Tom's a Punk fan. And I'm like you. It's wild. I think that 7 years meant a lot, and especially to his value. I think for so many years, people just wanting to see him back. And then when it finally happened, I'm interested to see how Dynamite plays out this week with him live there outside of Chicago. I'm pretty sure the crowd will be just as lit, but I'm very excited for the matchups for him for the next year, definitely.
Yeah. I really thought it was odd that there were so many people crying at the show. I was crying, but I cry at everything. Disney movie, matter. That's just how I am. But I really felt something watching all those other people feeling the same way I was, and I felt like, well, I wasn't alone, because here are all these other people doing the same thing. So I'm very excited as well.
And yeah, I mean, hopefully AJ comes back too. That'd be great. I mean, I don't know if I really want Adam Cole to go to AEW, but if I could get Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus AJ Lee and CM Punk, that's a pretty darn good one there.
If WWE loses Adam Cole, like, they're dead.
Listen, I'm trying not to bury WWE so much, because I thought SummerSlam was very good. I just don't know. And maybe it's they get in these predicaments where they just have to hire all these people. But, I mean, if you're not going to use these people, then get rid of them. There is another promotion right now that could start up just by taking all these people that they released and probably put on a better show than what WWE is right now.
WWE's doing. Hey, you're going to release these people. We're going to hire them and like show you what they're made of.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the next couple of months, there's a lot of all women shows coming up. And, we talk about this quite a bit. The landscape is totally changing. NWA this weekend's got their own pay-per-view. For yourself, do you really when you're looking at getting on shows, are you very picky with that? Are you open to coming and traveling anywhere to get on shows, especially like all women shows? Or
no, I'm very willing to travel anywhere and anything. I definitely do my research on. So if someone reaches out to me at first, I will do my research on them to figure out, one, if it's a freaking real wrestling promotion, or and then I will also figure out if like the promoter has like a history of not paying people or kind of it's just all that kind of stuff because you get screwed over. I've been screwed over enough in this business. That's the point now. I'm like, look, I love wrestling. I will go anywhere, anytime, wrestle anybody, but I'm not gonna get screwed over by doing it. And then you have those unfortunate fans that like they come across that they're an actual real wrestling promoter. And then you do your research and you find out this isn't a real promotion. This guy's trying to get me to come to his place, and which is really, really scary. But definitely, like, I am so open to go anywhere. I'm down to do any show. And like, I mean, I've been as far as England. I've done 2 England tours, so I'm ready for anything. And as long as you treat me good and professional, I have no problems going anywhere.
So are there any places that you would like to go and wrestle for? Like, different places, Japan or anything like that?
Like if I go to Japan, it would be awesome, but it's not a goal of mine. It's not on my bucket list. But don't get me wrong, the second they say, hey, come to Japan, I'd be like, hey, next flight, here I come. But like, I mean, my bucket list, actually, I would love to wrestle in Ireland and Australia. Those are my next 2, kind of bucket list places. I've said, I've done 2 England tours, London tours. And I was booked twice in London last year when COVID hit. I was booked in June and I was booked in December. So I was going to, at some point, take a little plane over there while I was there and go to Ireland. Hop over to Ireland, and unfortunately, COVID's like, hey, screw you, not happening. So hopefully, at some point we can get back to that.
Yeah, we've said it. The biggest hill of pro wrestling in the last year was COVID. I mean, there's no hill that was bigger than COVID. So
Someone could be like, make that a character, and they would like, it would be the.
You'd probably have people cheer for you.
Yeah, once you died,
Yeah.
once they kick your ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Shawna, tell everyone where they can find you next and where they can find you on social media.
Well, tomorrow I will be in Vevey, Indiana, but I am nursing a little bit of an injury from last week, so I'm not unfortunately wrestling. But you can find me on Facebook, just Shawna Reed. I have a like page and a normal page. You can find me on Instagram, Shawna_Reed, Twitter, Shawna Reed 93, and TikTok because I'm lame and like to have fun and dumb. And I think it's wrestler Shawna Reed. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for getting on here with us tonight. We greatly appreciate it. For everyone out there, make sure you all are staying safe and doing what you need to be doing. That way you all can attend all these great shows everywhere. I'll be at the NWA Empower this weekend and the meet and greet that goes along with that. And Tom will be attending an Impact taping coming up in the month of September as well. So we'll be quite busy. If you see us out, come up and talk to us. Love to have some conversations with you all. And Shawna, we wish you the very best as well.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody out there, again, make sure you're staying safe, and we'll see y'all later in the week.